The DNA Diaries, a page 256 library publication, a book authored by Denny Roberts Ameke, and read to you by Charlotte Mugisha. Story1.
Cloning and the Future, Chapter 9. Final Pursuit. Justice rarely feels like victory. It feels like ashes you still have to swallow. End quote. Grace Namirembe. The air in Nairobi was cold, cranky, and heavy with the scent of dust and diesel. Even at night, the city refused to sleep. Matatus honked, dogs barked, and the border riders buzzed through side streets like ants that had tasted sugar, but Rebecca walked past it all unnoticed. She had changed her hair, changed her name, and wore a dusty scarf pulled tightly over her face, but nothing could hide the fire behind her eyes. She had come with a mission. The man they once called Professor, Dr. Isaac Okumu, had resurfaced. The soft-spoken Ugandan neurologist who once lectured Helen in Makerere University was now the rumored mind behind Phase 2 of Project Alpha, and Rebecca had no intention of letting him live to finish what James started. 3 days earlier, in the back room of Cafe Hayes off Moya Avenue, Rebecca had met a friend, a Kenyan intelligence officer who owed her a favor from back in 2014 during the Rift Valley biotrafficking scandal. He handed her a flash drive wrapped in brown masking tape. "Don't plug this into anything with internet," he warned. Inside were surveillance photos, maps, movement logs, and bank transfers routed through Nairobi's current suburb into an unregistered clinic operating under a fake dental license. But it wasn't teeth they were fixing in there. They were reactivating the neurodata James had smuggled out of Kalangala. Data from Kion, and the man behind it was Dr. Okumu, not in hiding, but in charge. Rebecca moved quickly. She met with agents at the American Embassy in Nairobi. This time, the Americans didn't hesitate. They looked in Kenyan Internal Security and Interpol's East African Division, and within 24 hours, a joint task force was ready. The target? The Nairobi Clinic. The objective? Eliminate all remaining Project Alpha operatives. The raid. It happened just before dawn. 4 black vans blocked off the road. Undercover officers had already slipped into the nearby flats, snipers on the rooftops, and a surveillance drone flew above the buildings. Inside the clinic, James was already awake. He felt something was coming. He always did. He stood by the window, watching the street below, a mug of coffee in one hand. Behind him, the 3 surviving scientists from Kalangala, including the tall South African professor who was deported by Ugandan authorities after the Kalangala incident. "What time did Dr. Okumu leave?" James asked without turning. "Late last night," one replied. "He said he has something to do in Naivasha this morning." James nodded. "He's arranging for a better laboratory." Then the power went out. 5 seconds later, glass shattered, smoke filled the room, and bullets echoed through the walls. The American Special Forces went in first, and the Kenyan security followed immediately. One whispered, "No negotiations, no arrests." By sunrise, James Mwanda, the man who had lied to 3 wives, stolen children, and tried to create a new generation of engineered minds, was dead. His body was found collapsed over a workstation, a flash drive still gripped in his left hand. 3 other doctors were confirmed dead, and 2 surrendered. Dr. Okumu was not in this location. He had escaped. But the Nairobi Clinic, the project's known remaining command center in East Africa with open links to Asia, was officially shut down. Back in Entebbe, the news was delivered quietly. A secure call came through at 8:06 a.m. Helen answered it with Kion curled beside her, still in his pajamas and sketching geometric patterns on the edge of a newspaper. Frank Wisner's voice was clear. "It's done," he said. Helen didn't respond. "James is dead," Wisner added. 4 others neutralized, 1 escaped. Dr. Okumu. Still, Helen said nothing. Only when Kion looked up, as if he already knew, did she whisper, "Thank you." Wisner paused. The boy should be told gently. But Keon, already listening, turned to his mother with quiet calm. "He's gone," he said, "but the idea is still alive." That night, Helen took Keon for a walk around the compound's private garden. The air smelled of jacaranda and lake fog, and the stars above Entebbe glowed like whispers from another life. "Did you love Daddy?" Keon asked, eyes on the sky. Helen didn't answer immediately. "I loved who I thought he was," she said finally. They walked in silence for a while longer. "Does it make me bad," Keon asked, "that I don't miss him?" Helen knelt beside him. "It makes you free," she said. A whisper from the blood. It started with an unexpected call. Lydia's voice came through trembling, almost panicking, when she phoned Helen late that evening. She rarely called unless something was truly wrong. Naomi, her daughter, Keon's half-sister and subject number 5, had started acting strangely. "She keeps drawing," Lydia said, holding her breath. Symbols, equations, and names she couldn't possibly know. Helen's heart sank. "What kind of names?" "Yours," Lydia whispered, "and Keon's." There was silence on the line, then a plea, barely audible. "Help me." The next morning, Helen sat with Rebecca on the edge of the safe house veranda. The sun was still unrisen. "She's changing," Helen said, handing Rebecca a photo of Naomi. "And it's not ordinary." Rebecca studied the girl's eyes in the photo, so familiar, so distant. "We thought he was the only one affected," she said. "What if we were wrong?" "I think James knew," Helen replied quietly. "I think Naomi was his fallback." A wind moved through the compound, rustling the dry leaves. Keon stepped out into the corridor, holding a blank page in his hands. He stared at the photo without being told who it was. He didn't speak. Instead, he sat, took a pencil, and began to draw, slowly, carefully, the exact same symbols Lydia had described. Rebecca watched with cold understanding. "Phase 2 didn't end in Nairobi," she murmured. "It's just begun from within." Keon didn't look up when Rebecca spoke. He kept drawing, each pencil stroke ready and deliberate, as if his small hand already knew the symbols before his mind did. The shapes curved like circuits, intersected like coordinates, and repeated in a pattern too precise to be random. Helen, standing behind him, felt the familiar knot of dread tighten in her chest. These were the same shapes she had once found in James's old files, shapes he had never explained, calling them private research schematics before locking them away. Now her son, who had never seen those files, sketched them perfectly from memory he should not have. Rebecca crouched beside the boy, studying the page without blinking. "Do you know what these mean?" she asked softly. Keon paused, tapped the pencil twice, and whispered, "They're from Naomi, not me." Then he set the pencil down and walked out to the balcony, staring at the distant lake, his expression calm but unreadable.